Dr. Jazz.
Hey guys,
Dr.
Samo here.
Jazz.
Thanks for checking out the channel and its contents. And if you feel like it, please do subscribe. Thanks so much. Enjoy the video. Bye. No, but man, thanks
I
for finding the
agree.
time again. So,
Yeah.
appreciate it. And I want to start, Joe, with the last album, the duo album, Don't Forget Your Guitar. And I listened to it. Some strange combos there. Ben Munder meeting Dave Tronzo, which is like,
Mhm.
and then the youngsters, Max Light and Greg Belisle and
Yes.
Frizzell is also a nice duo. I mean, how did this one happen? And what's this?
Yeah.
Because you've done so many duos, the Guitar Talk kind of continuing. And what's the story behind there?
Well, I just am a big fan of the guitar duo because one guitar is problematic as far as performance. I find solo guitar to be terribly difficult and maybe not even that rewarding, whereas two guitars is an orchestra. By the way, I'm quoting Keith Richards when I say that. He said something exactly like
Seriously?
that.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah.
Um, and I've had so many experiences with great duos at my camp because that's often how people pair up and play together. Mark Ribot and Julian Lage, Bill Frisell, Kurt Rosenwinkel,
Oh, I'd love to hear that. Yeah.
Wayne Krantz, and I don't know, Kevin Eubanks or something like that. It's just amazing. And the intimacy and the interplay that one can get into. So everything's covered, the bass, melody,
Yep.
and chordal structures. So I decided that I wanted to just get many people together who had not played together before. That's not the case with all of them, but many of them, and just see what happened. And there was an amazing chemistry that took place on all the duos, and I didn't want it to just be jazz. I wanted the sound of acoustic music, the bluegrass track, the
Yeah.
outside bluegrass track that Ben and Grant Gordy did, and of course I did something with a lap steel player, and then there were the kind of noise improvs
Yeah.
and a Beatles tune, and just to show the diversity and the sort of infinite potential of the guitar, but also explore this idea of a genuine dialogue taking place between what in some cases are two strangers, which can really be looked at as a model for living in a world where it really seems that nobody listens to each other, and
Yeah.
everybody seems to be resorting to violence or silence to
Yeah.
navigate their problems.
Yeah. How did some of these happen? Like, out of curiosity, Mander and Tronzo. I mean, that's like, I don't think they ever played together, or maybe they did in the downtown scene in the early 90s, but
Yeah. Well, there were a couple of people who I simply called and said, who would you like to do a duo with? Not having any idea what the response would be. Bill Frisell really surprised me. He chose somebody who's a third his age,
yeah.
one of the newest people on the scene, Emmanuel Michael. And then Ben mentioned Dave, and I thought that was a great idea. And
Yeah.
so that's how that happened. Most of the others, I kind of came up with the idea, but in those two cases, I wasn't going to tell Bill Frisell who to play with. I wanted to ask him what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I had some ideas, but this was his idea, and it was a great one.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I like this because it represents a modern. I did something like that during COVID. Like I called it Almost Alone, and I did like a guitar duo, but it was remote recording, but with every guitarist from every European country. So it's like 38 guitar duos, So it's
Whoa.
me playing with, you know, a Czech guitarist and a Slovakian jazz guitarist and a Finnish, Spanish, like, and it's amazing the variety of sounds there are out there. And
Wow. Well, this is back to what we discussed, which is trying to do a European alternative guitar summit with,
yeah,
I mean, just what you said there, you know, is so interesting to get these different regional
yeah,
players that have their own take on things. I mean, you could just to take the folks who were playing um, in Norway or you know
yeah,
Denmark, is Sweden would be remarkable.
yeah,
Not
yeah,
to mention all the other countries.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to if you think about it, how the concept of jazz guitar duo has evolved. Because in the past, you know, you had like Herb Ellis, Charlie Bird, Mandel Love, all these guys, kind of quite traditional. And then now it's like, I mean, Abercrombie and Towner started a bit already,
Yes.
and now it's like you listen to this, what you guys did, it's like, whoa, okay,
Well, I do think
I love it, man. You
prior
know,
prior to you know more or less recent times, there weren't a lot of guitar duos that were recorded. I love the Abercrombie Schofield one.
oh yeah,
That's
Solar, yeah,
largely straight ahead. And you're right about Ralph Towner's, and of course that's an inspiration. But I I just have really taken that on as a sound that I love, and it's portable,
yeah,
and you know the guitar can do so many things, so it's really infinite.
absolutely, yeah. Uh, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned it already, the Alternative Guitar Summit thing and your camp. What's the story behind it? I mean, let's say someone from Europe who doesn't know what the concept is. So it's like, how does it happen? How do you decide for which guitarists come? Because it's like,
Oh
I think
well,
you had everyone. You had like cream of the crop. Like,
yeah,
and
it
how did it
really
all
is
start also? And
more how do I decide who not to ask, because you know many of my very good friends even I haven't been able to ask because there's so few slots. But as I began developing the Guitar Summit, which was really a medium to you know place underappreciated guitarists on stage together and do special projects and sort of celebrate the guitar and some of the underdogs of the guitar
yeah,
years ago. By the way, they're not underdogs anymore. A lot of the people that I started with. Um, I always thought, you know, an educational component of this would be great. A camp would be great because I'd seen people doing music camps and it sounded like so much fun. I
yeah,
taught at one. I thought it would be so much fun. There's a lot of jazz camps in the US, and I did not want to do that. There's plenty of places where you can learn to play straight ahead jazz all over the country at this point, a lot of schools. And so I thought, what if there was a place where many of the people who don't fit into a simple box could go, and it could be more of a range of sounds, not not specifically jazz, but improvisation coming from many different directions. So there could be somebody more from the rock world, for instance, or funk, R&B, and lo and behold, I ran into the people who run a facility that do music camps all summer, and they had already been talking about doing this kind of guitar camp. And when they met me, they were like, "That was the missing link," because I knew everybody, and it all of a sudden became something that seemed very plausible, despite the incredible odds, because unlike any of their other camps, for instance, we're dealing with music that's entirely uncommercial.
mm,
So I consider it a miracle that this thing worked, you know, because it's an expensive facility. A lot of people have to come for this to work for them and pay their bills. It's a beautiful facility.
mm.
So, you know, I created this curriculum. It's different every time, where I pair different guitarists together sometimes, so that there's a class that is being taught by two different people, and they work with and off each other.
On one subject, like,
Yeah, so maybe last year Wolfgang and Gilad Hexelman taught ways to think about voice leading and
Mm,
chord creation. I've had composition workshops last year with Kurt, myself, and Wolfgang. I mean, those guys are both amazing
oh,
composers.
absolutely.
I've had, you know, time fundamentals. I call it time boot camp. Ben Monder came one year and advised people to try backing off their metronome to 10 beats per minute and anchor their time, and that nobody could do that, but some people were able to do 25. Stuff like that. There's been so many. Julian Lage,
Yeah.
myself, Mark Ribot, Nels Klein, teaching free improvisation. Just what are some of the ways that you can think about it and expand your way of approaching the guitar, so it involves more than just the typical diatonic or
Mm,
you harmonically based information. That's just one example. There are performances every night that you've never seen before. John Schofield played with Steve Swallow last year, and all of a sudden you've got Kurt and Bill Frisell playing, or Isaiah Sharkey and Gilad, stuff like that.
beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, it's so much fun. And then people get to jam all night. We have rhythm sections for them
Yeah,
to
yeah, I
play.
wanted to ask you that. Yeah.
So it's really paradise. Everybody has so much fun. We don't always teach as many fundamentals as somebody might want or need, but it's hard to fit everything in. It's more a saturation experience where you're sort of backstage and getting to hang out with some of your heroes and some people you've never heard of, who you go away feeling blown away by.
Yeah. It would be also a shame, if you have Bill Frisell there and Kurt, and they would have to teach someone how to play, I don't know, A minor pentatonic. It's like,
Yeah,
it's like, oh, come on.
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
There's some of that. I fill some of that in, but yeah, it's very mind expanding.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Where does this love for the guitar come with you? Because it's like your music. I have quite many CDs of you, and you're ranging from Indian influence to Americana. I mean, to
Yeah.
Paul Motion stuff, to your original stuff, to traditional American, North American music. And how did it begin for you? I mean, did you have like an aha moment that you heard somewhere? Like, I guess the Beatles were probably important, but
Yeah, when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, the guitar was it. Everybody wanted to play guitar. All of a sudden, you're watching movies with Pete Townshend, playing Tommy, and the Grateful Dead's out there, and of course the Beatles, all those people. And there really wasn't, I wasn't deeply inspired by jazz when I started out, and there wasn't much in the way that there is now to see. Wes was dead by the time I was coming of age, and I just discovered Jim Hall, but that was pretty esoteric for a kid. And Herb Ellis and Joe Pass, they seemed rather square to me.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
liked rock. Now, of course, I recognize their mastery. But I saw all those people, and so I really didn't consider myself, or I don't know that I ever fully identified as a jazz musician. I was always sort of around the edges of it, and my love of the guitar came from how many different things could be done on it. It's really, to me, the American instrument. It's where all of our roots music came from. If you like to sing and play songs, it's guitar. But I do consider myself a composer first. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
I could easily, I more easily give up guitar than composing, but as far as my advocacy, it's hard to know where that came from. I just started putting on concerts, and it seemed like a lot of fun, and people really appreciated it. And I thought, there's something I can offer here that is going to be good for everyone, and probably me too. And in the end, I'm the guy who has learned the most.
Oh,
I only wish I could play all the stuff I've learned.
come on. No, but you have your own, really your own style. Like it's very. It's not like you mentioned Jim Hall and Herb Ellis and these guys. It's definitely not there. It's definitely more towards the American music. This type of blues and Americana and like you know what I mean. It's like.
Yes.
And I love that. It's like, and because you match up always then with these other types of musicians, like from Binney to McCaslin to Dan Wise, Brian Blade. And then you get like this amazing dough. And it's like, oh, okay. I really like that with you as a guitarist and as a composer. I mean, man, how much do you compose and how do you compose, by the way? Because I listened to the Farid and Dan duo album where you just composed music, right? And then there's like,
Oh, yes. The guitar duos.
yeah.
Yes.
So,
Oh, that was really fun. I finally wrote for guitar. I've been composing for all these other instruments, and wrote these classical guitar pieces. That was really thrilling. I found myself thinking, wow, why did it take me so long to do this? This is a lot easier than trying to write for an instrument I don't know how to play. I just have always loved composing, and I love writing classical music and jazz, and I like writing complicated jazz music and simple, just melodies, which is actually kind of the hardest thing to do in a way.
absolutely.
And it's hard to know where that comes from, but I can just sort of sit down and compose anytime. I don't really have to wait for inspiration very often. I just was like, let me try this. I'm not saying that everything that comes out is good or that I keep it, but it's just always seems to be there for me. And that's why I've done so many different things.
Yeah.
Because my imagination gets a hold of me, and I'm thinking, wow, what would that sound like? And I always want to make like 4 records at the same time. So it's not so great for your career, because the definition of success is often the guy who does the same thing over and over again till people notice. So, when I was on ACT,
Yeah.
for that brief moment, I think I could have just done that the rest of my life, what I was
exactly.
doing with ACT, but I just couldn't, I couldn't do that. So
How did the ACT story happen, by the way? Because ACT was, Ziggy's, like, especially at that time, EST, Esbjörn Svensson was on the label, so the label really grew. And
yes,
you were one of the first Americans almost. I think there weren't so many Americans yet back then. Binney, I think he did 2 records. And
it was before me. He told me about ACT.
Oh, okay.
And there's a very simple explanation for this. There are some degrees of, how do I say it? There's a very black and white picture I can paint. I can add a little color to it if you'd like. The black and white picture is Siggy wanted Norah Jones on his label, and that was the track. I had Norah Jones on my record. He knew she was going places. He's very smart. He's a terrific businessman, and he loves music. But he didn't know who I was. Was he listening to this music going, oh my God, I can sell all these. This is a weird project that, country music for a jazz group.
Yeah.
And and it was Nora Jones being on there that really got him excited. And by the way, those tracks are still like streaming millions of times.
I really, wow.
So he was really, really smart. But he also liked the concept. He genuinely did. And he liked the players on it. And it was just one of those things where I got lucky and he wanted to do it. Now, the road to actually getting it done with all the trauma that I went through trying to get Blue Note to actually sign off on it was a story for another time, because by the time the record was ready to come out, she had already turned into a superstar.
Oh shit, yeah.
With her, nobody knew who she was. So it was fascinating. But in the end, they did a great job. And unfortunately, I just wasn't commercial enough really to continue on the label. He was not interested in continuing with me. And yeah, I wasn't an outlier back then. There's not a ton of Americans on there at all. I think.
Yeah.
But you know, he's always looking at the landscape. I don't know about now, but there, I always would notice that he knew what was going on in America. The guy's created an unbelievable thing.
Yeah.
When I
Absolutely.
look at what it takes to sell records in today's world, it's amazing. Their catalog.
Yeah. How did you connect with Nora, by the way? Because I think I think probably she's done like 5, I don't know, side woman projects. You know, she's not really. She's like the leader, and there you have her on the.
Just dumb luck. I knew 2 or 3 people in her band, and she was just another singer around town. I mean, you could kind of get the feeling that something was going to happen. So I wasn't completely just like, oh, I'll hire this person just because I love her voice. That is true, and it was a great choice. But I also thought, I don't know, there's something special about her that might sort of help sell a few copies, but that's really how I looked at it, a few copies. And then all that happened. So it's just dumb luck. And it allowed me to go and tour Europe for 10 years straight, basically, and totally put me on the map. The irony is, of course, that all those tracks, super successful, absolutely no crossover into my own career. None of those people who stream I Walk the Line could care less about any of my other music, as far as I know.
Sure.
So it's just one of these things that you think, man, I was so excited back then because I'd already been working so hard in the trenches, and you know, basically like so many of us, nobody knowing who I am. And it's like, oh my God, things might actually get easier. You know, I might be able to really, like, oh my God, get an agent, play a lot of gigs. And for a very short while, that did happen. But it just doesn't usually work like
I know what you mean.
Ever for anybody. There's always some trickster. You know, the universe is always playing a joke on you. You know, and so it was a fascinating experience. But once it was done, I was like, I was back being me again.
Yeah.
And there's no more people coming up to me thinking I'm important just because she was on my record, which is so bizarre to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's funny if you think about it. Like, I remember I got my first 4-star review in Downbeat 20 years ago, and I was like, wow. Now things. Yeah, I was really like, oh shit, now we're gonna tour finally even more, and it's like nothing happened. I was like, 0. Oh shit, okay.
Yeah. Now everybody gets 4-star reviews. So there's 100 of them.
Oh. Well, it's so funny when you're young, you're like, full of like, oh man, okay, this, And then you get all of these amazing reviews, like, one of top young guitarists, blah, blah, amazing composer. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'll glue that there when I send.
Yeah.
Bizarre if you think about it, but
It's
yeah,
true.
yeah,
It's true. But we're always put back on our own, put on our own selves, and
yeah,
just making the best music we can. And if there's one thing we know, there's very few people who are brilliant enough
yeah,
and hardworking enough, and maybe also who are somewhere at the right time that are able to attain a certain status. And one of the fascinating things about the camp for me is being around a lot of those people,
yeah,
and to be honest, playing with them and going, man, it's so obvious sitting here what they have that I don't have as a guitar player. Not as a person or
yeah,
even a composer, but as a
yeah,
guitar player, I'm like, whoa. And so, what the amazing thing is that I learned is that sometimes it's not a lot, but it's that that thing that they have that's so strong and maybe even a little bit invisible, but it's there and it makes them them, and it makes them stand out.
yeah,
And it's an amazing feeling to be in that presence and go, oh yeah, I don't have that, and they've developed that, and wow, this is what I would have to do to to sound like them. And it turns out it's a lot.
yeah,
It seems like a little, but no, it's not. It's a lot. These a lot of these the greatest of the great players, it's almost like they're musicians. I'm sorry, magicians.
yeah,
Sitting next to them, I'll never forget the early on when Kurt came to the camp, and you know, I said, Kurt, can we? Because these guys were willing to play with me, thank God. And and it's not. I don't want to undermine myself or say I
yeah. You
did
should not, yeah,
offer, but I don't mean it that way at all. But on the other hand, if you're playing a jazz tune with Kurt, you're stepping into the ring with Muhammad Ali.
yes,
So, um, and I was playing a monk tune I thought I knew pretty well, and I thought this would be great. This would be so fun. And I'm sitting there, I'm listening, I'm trying to listen as I'm soloing, and I'm looking at the chord stuff he's doing just as I'm playing the melody, and every single shape is something I've never played. Every single one, and I've been playing the guitar for so long, and I'm like, wow, this is just amazing. This guy's mastery of chords in jazz.
hmm,
It was so thrilling, and really overwhelming, because I would have had to be 20 again to and hit it really hard for 10 years just to get to that level. But then I'm me, and he's him.
yeah,
And that's what we're back to. What
yeah,
can I bring to the table? Because none of us can practice everything.
yeah. It's fun. It's funny. Like I remember also hearing Bill Frisell, like on one concert here in Slovenia, and he played like when I started with jazz, you think you have to play all these slick jazz chords,
Yeah.
and then he just played like a normal G, like, and it sounded like, man. And I came home and I tried that same G, and I was like, yeah, it's a G. And with Frisell, it was like a universe, It was, I was
It's
like,
so true.
what are you
And then when
doing,
I
man?
finally got to play with him, it was that same experience. It's like, wow, it's hard to put into words,
Yeah,
but I really believe that certain people are gifted with, and if you will, antennae up into the unseen um, places in the universe that give us this music. And you can't really analyze it or think about it in the end in terms of the physical nature of the universe, because we're not all born with the same gifts.
Mm.
If you
Yep.
listen to Julian Lage play, much less actually play with him, you're like, this guy has he's worked incredibly hard, and he's devoted in a way that can hardly be really believed. But this was a gift, man. He's just got it. You know, you can practice the rest of your life. And in a way, so much of this is just something we can't explain.
Yep. It's also in the fingers a lot, right? It's just whatever they pick, whatever instrument.
It seems, yeah, for some people it's easier too.
Yeah.
It really is. Because I've made a study of this. Because I'm like, why is the guitar so hard? It always feels so hard to me. I'm not kidding. It really was never for me that easy. I think that's one reason I appreciate it so much, actually, is because it, you know, you sort of, there's a value that you put in something that you've really struggled with.
Yep.
It's like an intimacy you develop with that relationship that in a way has deepened my curiosity. Like, man, why are these people, how are they able to do that? And I asked people, I said, was the guitar easy for you? Like growing up? Yeah, it's pretty easy for me. Well, I never felt that way. Composing is actually kind of easy for me.
Interesting.
That doesn't mean, again, that it always comes out sounding good, but I don't have to really think about it. It just flows. With a guitar, I'm like, oh man, wow. This is I always want it to sound a little better than it does, but maybe that's true for all of us.
You know, Holdsworth stories, right?
Yeah.
Like he played like incredible gigs, and I mean, I've done this talk with, you know, Jimmy Haslip and Chad Wackerman and all these guys who played with him, and
Yeah.
Steve Hunt, and they said, like, you know, they played an amazing gig, and Alan was completely depressed about his lines, and
Well, that's another level.
next level, yeah. That's next
not
level.
sort of curiosity and sort of a certain humility. That's more like a personality disorder. No,
Yeah,
no disrespect,
probably.
but
Absolutely,
the
I
guy,
agree, actually, yeah.
the guy was way harder on himself than it seems humanly possible.
True.
And I don't think it made him very happy.
No, yeah. But yeah, the self-criticism can be, yeah.
Yeah, you really you gotta watch that. It's of no use. But curiosity,
Curiosity is good, yeah.
that is our greatest asset, and that's in full supply at our camp.
Yeah, yeah. Joel, I wanted to ask you something. Like, when did you move? Because I know you basically started on the West Coast, right? You did that record with Scott Amendola and I think Alex Klein.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you know about that record. That was my first record, 3 guitars, 3 drummer percussionists. Well, I grew up in Washington, D.C., but I lived on the West Coast in the 1990s for a little over 10 years. And that's where I met, well, I'd actually already met Nels Klein, but that's where I played some with him and got to know that whole scene. Many of those people, of course, ended up moving to New York. So I came to New York in 1999.
How was that like for you, moving to New York and
Why
seeing...
the fuck did I wait for so long?
Oh shit, yeah. That's a good answer, actually. Okay.
It is the only place to be. I'm not convinced that's still the case, by the way, but it has been for decades. And it's been such a blessing. I couldn't have done 3/4 of what I've done without being here. I mean, just my big band record, for instance, 1 rehearsal and 1 gig, and these guys played all the music perfectly. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's
unbelievable. And they're all here. And you know what? I could have had 5 different groups that did that in New York. Not of the same character necessarily, but as far as just like nailing the music, It's amazing, the talent pool here, and these people you still haven't even heard of. You go, where did this person come from? I've been here for 25 years.
Yeah. Yeah, the level is. I remember I had one tour years ago with John O'Gallagher and Lawrence Stillman.
Yeah, wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
Two altos, me on guitar and a drummer, and we had
Mm.
a tour and rehearsed in Zurich, like before the first gig, like at 4 p.m. And I wrote really heavy music, like 10 pagers, like odd meters all the time.
Wow.
Man, like I don't know, one BPM tune, 200. I was like, so guys, should we do it slower? No, no, no. Okay, okay. One, two, three, four.
Crazy.
Like,
I
like,
know. I
man,
don't get it.
I was like, dude, it was not really not heavy, easy music, like intervals, jumps, and they just nailed it.
That's amazing. I
Like,
love that. I love that feeling.
yeah, that you don't have to struggle with 10 rehearsals, and it's just like,
Yes.
okay, now
Yep.
let's work on the music, like not the technicalities, right? It's just like
Yes.
other things that are important, emotions or like how to develop it, and so that's yeah, that's incredible. Uh,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about you and drummers as well, because I think you've played with all of my favorite drummers almost, or not all, but all the drummers you played with are among the list, like Brian Blade and Dan Weiss, and you did also an album with Jack, who
Yes.
passed away. Like, how did all these stories happen, and especially with Jack? I mean, how was that like for you? How did that happen actually?
Well, I've really been lucky. Um, I love drummers, and I always have, and I really feel like the drums is the, in so many ways, shapes the music that we do, and gives it its so much of its character. And with Jack, it was just sort of a, as they say, a bucket list thing. And I knew my good friend who helps me run the guitar camp, Joel Bluestein, owns Dreamland Studios up in Woodstock, where Jack lives.
Yeah.
Jack likes the studio. Um, I knew people who knew him, and he was not touring anymore. He was home, and I said, I'll ask. He can always say no. So he asked me to give the names of the players that, and he did his research. He listened to what we had done, and he
Mm.
wrote back and he said he'd do it. And High Note Records, was a viable label for that record. And obviously no rehearsal or anything. He just came in, one or two takes on stuff, and he was there most of the day. And I think he enjoyed himself. And the tune he enjoyed the most was the Bob Dylan tune we did. That
Yeah.
was my feeling listening to him. I think that was, the guy's done everything. Come on. But for me, it was really surreal. And I just had to turn off that part of myself that was really scared and also kind of overwhelmed with thinking about all the stuff that he'd done. I wasn't even really listening to him in a certain way. I was just trying to make sure that I was playing the music and doing my part right. And it was only when I went back and mixed that the
Yeah.
subtlety of what he was doing hit me. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I just feel so fortunate that he was willing to do that. And it was really one of the last recordings
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah. It's incredible. I mean,
And he was in good health then, but his health declined about a year after that.
yeah, it's amazing, man. Yeah, what about Brian Blade? Because you've done also. Was that through Binney? Because Binney was also seemed to be very important when you moved to New York, right? Or
Yeah. Yeah. I just loved Brian Blade's music, and it was, there's something about the way he plays is so beautiful and so intriguing. And I'd seen him play a bunch, and had met him, and he loves roots music, Americana
yeah,
stuff. So I we would sort of talk about the Free Country Project. I think he was in a band that opened for us once, and he was very eager, you know, and supportive about the concept. And I said, man, sometime maybe he'll play with me. And so yeah, I just asked him and he said yes. It's great. And that was with the bassoon and trumpet, Kong Vu.
Yeah,
So that was an interesting ensemble. And then he also was able to do one of the Free Country
yeah,
records.
yeah, yeah.
Another
Really,
drummer
man.
who I'm about to record with, who I love, 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 is Rudy Royston.
Oh yeah,
Play with him some, but I have not recorded. And I was also able to play with Bob Moses back in the 80s.
really. I did so much touring, man, with Bob.
What?
Oh
Come
yeah,
on.
I have to send you records. We did like 3 years ago a record with Arild Andersen, the bass player, and we toured like we played 17 gigs in Europe. So it
You're
was fun.
kidding.
Yeah, I'll send you the albums. I'll send
So
you
this
after
was
this.
back when Bob played time.
Yeah, now he was more rubato-ish kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's brilliant. So but I always
Wow.
credit him with some of my development as a musician. Um, yeah, I love
Interesting.
drummers.
Yeah.
And
You
Dan,
also did the Paul Motion project, right? I mean, with
yes, without a drummer, of course.
I loved Paul's music, man.
Yes.
Love Paul's music. Like he was
Mhm.
such a composer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dan Weiss is, just kind of a genius. Um,
Yeah.
you
Period.
know what
That's
to
it.
say.
Yeah.
You there's a guy who there's no music that's too hard for that guy.
Yeah. True. Amazing, right? Uh, Joel, what's still in the schedule for you for this year? I mean, records wise, playing wise, projects. I mean, can you
Yeah.
talk
I'm
about that a bit?
releasing a couple, believe it or not, two more duo records, one by two Europeans. Um, and their names are Ella Zarina and Taya Semi. Um, these are young players,
Check them out.
and
Yeah.
I have all young players on my label. I'm trying to use it as other than myself, um, trying to use it as a platform to sort of, I don't know, just in a certain way discover or give a platform for some of the best younger players. So it's a really beautiful record. And then Emmanuel Michael and Tim Watson
Oh,
are
beautiful.
a record on my label. Again, two lovely guitarists. And then I'm recording soon this concept of mine, the guitar choir, four guitars, um, that I've been doing for a while live, but I've not recorded. But the main thing I've been doing, believe it or not, is writing songs. So
Hmm.
I'm about to release a songwriting record, and been
Really?
working on writing vocal music for quite a while.
Wow.
And I have in mind a couple of those records. Of course, I've done that before, but I I just feel called to do that. So that's what I've been doing.
Beautiful. It's fantastic, man.
Yeah, and I just wrote a piece for cello and piano, and that was really thrilling. And I'm, always, it's just always something. I got this huge work for vocal chorus and big band
Wow.
that I put aside for a long time called Burn Pit. Um, and so lots of stuff.
Yeah. My cat is harassing me already.
Ah, dinner time.
Yeah, he's like, dude, come on. Yeah, yeah. I'm coming. Freedom with him. It's like hypnotizing me like they're like, okay. It's been long, man. Now he's on the table. Okay. Booyah. But anyway, man, thanks for sharing some of these thoughts. Appreciate it, Joe. Hope you make it to Europe. If you're gonna make it to Europe, drop me a line. Let me know
Oh, I'd love to.
one
And
day.
likewise, if you get to the US.
Yeah, I will. I used to travel so much, but then COVID came, and then after COVID, I haven't visited anymore. And with all the things that's happening in the States as well, and it's like it's such a hassle to travel to the USA now. So
It's
it's,
really sad, it's it's shameful.
yeah,
I don't know what else to say. I'm I'm aghast at the world I'm living in right now, and just doing my best to try to make positive music that,
Absolutely.
you know, because what we do goes being way beyond all that. It's something much more durable and much more involved with matters of the soul.
Yeah. Yeah, you rounded it up nicely. I mean, it's like nothing more to add. You played the final chord now, so it's like, okay, I won't play a harmonic or anything. I'll just leave it.
Yeah, or ding, ding the cymbal.
Yeah. No, but cool.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, me too. You too. And happy we made it today, that it worked, everything. And so,
Yeah,
super.
thank
I'll
you.
send you a link, Joel, when this is out, and then we can share it. So,
Wonderful.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
You
See
too.
ya.
Ciao.